Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, where we focus on governance, politics and policy. And I'm Patrick Soko. I will be with you up to the hour of 9. We'll continue discussing from where we ended from the previous breakfast show in terms of politics, policy and governance. And today we have an interesting conversation with the NDC, and that's the National Democratic Congress. So stick around for that interview. And just now we're going to go straight into our first segment, which is the morning booster, where we get to remind each other on the importance of exercising. So we'll be back shortly. Keep it on Camnet TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, again here with Cholwe, and we are gonna start with a stretch. Ten for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright, so we're going to start with squat jumps for a minute. To squat, so squatting, knees don't move to the front or butt. 1 minute of those, the modified version. If you can't jump, let's go. We're starting. Up, 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 just like the modified version. Up, up, advanced. Up, modified version, but out. You don't want to the front. Let's remember that. Up, 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 just like that. Up, up, advanced. You breathe. Good. You should feel the bend. It's a very good bend. The next one for 1 minute, we're just gonna kick to the front. You kick. We're going for 1 minute. Kick, kick. could go 10 seconds of this. All right. Thank you so much. To the next episode.
Well, there you have it, quite an interesting exercise there. And as usual, we always say, let's keep healthy, you know. Exercising is very important towards boosting our immune system, and hence we have to make sure that we do that, especially in the morning when we're about to start the day, so that you can have a relaxed day throughout. And it is equally important after you knock off for work, you just don't have to sit. You can find time to just do those exercises. It is important that we keep fit and stay away from non-communicable diseases that are highly affecting countries, Zambia inclusive, and we are seeing quite an escalation in terms of cases of diabetes, heart diseases, and it is only if we take a proactive approach towards safeguarding our health that we can be able to live a normal and a healthy life. So right now I want to take us to our next segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Mufaya, and we'll be back shortly. Just to keep it on Camnet.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Nabufaya. So this week we have been talking about non-alcoholic liver disease, and yesterday we talked about some of the risk factors and some of the causes of non-alcoholic liver disease. So we say that some of the risk factors include having being obese or overweight, and also having diabetes, having hypertension, high cholesterol, and even hypothyroidism, where your body doesn't have enough of the thyroid hormone. Then we also said smoking is also a risk factor for you to develop non-alcoholic liver disease. Then we say that non-alcoholic liver disease can also be caused by other conditions, such as inborn errors or genetic disorders that somebody is born with that can predispose them to having fat in the liver. Then we also say that there are other nutritional deficiencies that can cause fatty liver, and also viral hepatitis. A virus that attacks the liver can also cause an accumulation of fat in the liver. So non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is an accumulation of fat cells in the liver, and this accumulation of fat causes inflammation, and it can cause scarring as time goes on. So there can be scars that are formed leading to fibrosis, and later on can lead to liver cirrhosis. So today we'll talk about some of the signs and symptoms of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So people with this condition can usually present with pain in the right upper quadrant. So the right upper quadrant is the right side of your abdomen, the right upper corner of your abdomen, just below your ribs. That is where the liver is found. And so the patient or the person might have pain in this area. And sometimes they might also experience vomiting. They might also have fatigue, weakness. And over time, they might also present with weight loss. So the person might start losing weight because of the liver that is not functioning well. They might also experience jaundice, which is yellowing of the skin and the eyes. This is usually when the disease has advanced to a a more advanced stage. And then they might also experience swelling of the legs, the arms, and even the abdomen or the tummy. So because of this liver disease, they will have an accumulation of fluids, and this fluid usually goes into the cells and it accumulates in the legs and also in the abdomen. And so this usually happens when the patient has had this condition for a long time and they now have liver cirrhosis. And liver cirrhosis is what usually leads to having the complication of swelling. And so they might even be told that they have liver failure because the liver is not functioning well at this point and it's not carrying out or doing the functions that it's meant to do. And so you might have liver failure, and you might have certain misfunctions in the body. So these are some of the signs and symptoms of people who have non-alcoholic liver disease. However, it's possible for people to have this condition or to have a fatty liver and not have any symptoms that they might present with at the hospital. So they might be having a fatty liver for a very long time and not experiencing any symptoms. Normally, when they start experiencing some of these symptoms, then it has advanced and maybe even in the end stage of the disease. So it's important that you get yourself checked at least every 3 years. If you have diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, make sure you're checking your liver at least every 3 years, because you might not know that you have a fatty liver and it might lead you to having many complications later. So it's important to get yourself checked on a regular basis. So today we're learning that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease can present with pain in the right upper quadrant or the right upper side of the abdomen. And it might also have, the people might also have nausea, vomiting, weakness, fatigue, weight loss. And in advanced stages, they might have jaundice, which is yellowing of the eyes, and also swelling of the feet and the abdomen. So I do hope that you have learned something today, and make sure that you get yourself checked on a regular basis, especially if you have some of the risk factors that we have mentioned. So I'll see you again tomorrow, and make sure you stay healthy, and God bless you.
Well, thank you for staying with us, and interesting segment right there. And we thank Dr. Mofaya for always giving us informative information that is very vital towards our lives. And let's also now look at our next segment, which is the money market, so that we can get to understand how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. So one British pound is buying at 23 kwacha 50 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 97 ngwe. $1 is buying at 19 kwacha 39 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 77 ngwe, and the euro is buying at 20 kwacha 680 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 09 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 06 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 08 ngwe. Those are your money market. Interesting. The kwacha has always been on a downward trajectory, as you can see right there. This is a reflection of a slow economic activity in the Zambian economy, and that is a testimony, as you can see, how the kwacha is failing. There are quite a number of fundamentals that are at play, especially when the currency is depreciating. This is mostly on account of the lack of economic activity in terms of exports. It means that the Zambia's export portfolio is not adequate enough to help us generate enough foreign exchange and that translates into an escalated currency, that's the depreciation of the kwacha. And sometimes it also amounts to the aspect of how the Bank of Zambia and the Ministry of Finance are controlling the economy. But at the moment, control mechanisms are towards stabilizing the kwacha, because it would have been worse given that they haven't been. If they wouldn't have been, they would have not been putting in place measures to ensure that it remains at this range. It would have been worse. But we understand that the government has been intervening through the monetary policy rate, through the central bank, and we are seeing that they're trying to stabilize it. But however, they are also being concerned that they are actually removing money from the economy, and they are making borrowing to become more expensive, especially for the private sector, because government is also highly involved in the domestic market, and this is crowding out the private sector. Hence, you are seeing that the kwacha is not performing as expected. Interestingly, though, we're seeing that the recapitalizing of Mopani mines, and also addressing issues pertaining to Konkola copper mines on the copper belt surrounding the issue it is involved with Vedanta, would be instrumental towards us getting back in terms of stabilizing the kwacha, because those are giant mines that help Zambia in terms of foreign exchange. Because at the moment, especially, there has been not much, the mines haven't been performing to optimum level to be like they used to. So injection of resources in Mopani will definitely help matters, as well as the aspect of Konkola copper mine resolving issues with Vedanta will be instrumental towards Zambia stabilizing its economy, because there has been concern that the economy on the copper belt has been highly affected, considering that Mopani copper mines hasn't been working at the optimum level, as well as KCM. It has been involved in these differences with Vedanta, and positively, the two parties opted to resolve matters outside the court. And we just heard President Hakainde Hichilema, when he toured the copper belt, he did engage the mining suppliers and contractors, and he also touched on the issues pertaining to Mopani and KCM, and progressive issues coming out there from the copper belt. So we just hope that those things will be definitely addressed, because they are vital towards us reviving the local economy. Our dear viewers, we will be interacting on this program based on the topic of discussion, which is justifying social and economic misfiring under the UPND, amid concerns from the public. So you, our dear viewers, have been raising concern pertaining to how the United Party for National Development Administration has been governing the country, and there has been justification from the UPND. And among those who are making those justifications is the National Democratic Congress, NDC, led by George Sichula, who have been saying the government is firm and committed to resolve issues that are affecting the nation. So we will be getting your perspective on this. Do you feel the justifications they are making are adequate? Are they convincing enough that you should continue to have faith that things will be okay at Fikaba Wino Kuntanshi? It is you, our dear viewers, to give us your perspective, because they say in Bemba Ichkalipa Chumfomwine. So you, our dear viewers, are going to be giving us those perspectives, so that as we discuss with our guest, we can provide that insight, and in terms of providing checks and balances to those who will be hosting on the platform. Remember, every time we say Camnet TV is a station that seeks to serve the public, the community, in that we value your contribution and support to the sustainability of this institution. Now, before I continue talking, let me just remind you of what was in the news and some of the stories that we are making the headlines. So now, the stories that have been making the headlines, the story pertaining to a building contractor has told the Economic and Financial Crimes Court that Former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga paid over 1 million kwacha for the construction of a double-story house in Bonaventure in Lusaka. When the matter came up for continued trial, Osman Dodia testified that Dr. Ndilili and associates engaged his company, Koram Construction Limited, to build a double-story house for the accused at a total cost of 1.8 million kwacha. This is in a case in which Mrs. Katanga is facing one count of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. So let's get to zoom in this story. We'll be back on the other side.
Several witnesses continue being presented by the state to give testimony in the corruption case. That former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Charity Katanga, is appearing before the subordinate court in Lusaka, with a state witness Tuesday morning testifying how his construction company received a tender at a cost of over 1 million kwacha to construct a double-story house for the former police deputy IG. Osama Dodia, a building constructor, has told the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court that in 2014 his construction company was engaged by the accused to construct the said double-story house in Bonaventure, Lusaka. According to the witness, after the completion of the said property, the cost came to a total value of 1.8 million kwacha, of which the accused paid in full. In cross-examination, when questioned if there was anything unusual about the contract, the witness responded in negative. Ms. Katanga, who served as the Deputy IG during the Patriotic Front administration, is accused of corruptly acquiring property, a charge which she has denied. She is facing one count of possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime valued at over $2 million United States dollars and 1.5 million kwacha, contrary to Section 171 of the Forfeiture and Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that the accused between the 1st of January 2017 and the 6th of June 2022 bought 10 Higer buses valued at over 26 million kwacha, property believed to have been corruptly gained. Trial continues in the matter. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. The application by lawyers representing Ndozo Lodge's proprietor Clint Sichamba challenging the legality of Anti-Corruption Commission prosecutors not to prosecute his case on ground that they were not appointed by the Director of Public Prosecution has been dismissed. Former President Edgar Lungu's associate, Mr. Sichamba, is standing trial on 133 counts, charges bordering on corruptly acquiring property. He is standing trial alongside his wife Idora Nambela and son David. The trio have been jointly charged with Ndozo Lodges and Mulozi Trading Limited co-directors and shareholders. When the matter came up for ruling Tuesday morning, Lusaka Magistrate Irene Wishimanga ruled in favor of the state and dismissed the application by the defense. According to the court's ruling, ACC prosecutors are eligible to prosecute criminal matters as their appointment by the Attorney General mandates them to do so. In the last court sitting, the accused through their lawyers challenged the legality of ACC prosecutors, insisting that the officers were not appointed by the Director of Public Prosecution to prosecute criminal matters. This is in a matter in which Mr. Sichamba, his wife and son are facing corruption charges involving over 781 million kwacha and more than 10 million United States dollars. The trio was also arrested for possession of 140 properties suspected to be proceeds of crime. The accused and the said two companies recently took plea and pleaded not guilty to 133 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime after the state added more charges to the initial 15 counts. Trial will commence on the 6th of March 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Citizens have been waiting for the outcome of a case which flooded both social and mainstream media, where the Ministry of Health under the leadership of then Minister Chitalu Chilufya was accused of procuring expired drugs and leaking condoms through Honeybee Pharmacy Limited between 2019 and 2020. Dr. Chilufya was accused along with 7 others, among them former Attorney General Likandwa Kalaluka, former Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Caroline Kakulubelwa, Procurement Officer at the Ministry of Mines Wilson Lungu, a pharmacist Emmanuel Mubanga, and honeybee directors. This is in a case where Dr. Chilufya, along with the named, were accused of trying to defraud the state of over $17 million worth of 22,500 health kits. The state, however, on 16 February 2023, in accordance with Section 88A of the Criminal Procedure Code, withdrew the case without the reason of the withdrawal being indicated. In his own words, Dr. Chilufya says this is proof that the prosecution was malicious. He was speaking to Camnet News Tuesday afternoon.
I am stating here that the honeybee has been a hoax, and it is, as I've said all along. As a matter of fact, the people of Zambia must be assured that they were never exposed to expired medicines or leaking condoms. I am a doctor sworn to the oath of saving lives, protecting lives, treating patients, and I would never expose patients to leaking condoms or expired drugs. So this is a shameful, malicious hoax.
Meanwhile, the former Minister of Health, who is also a PF presidential aspirant, feels that he is the best candidate to lead the opposition party, as he has been tried and tested during his time as Minister of Health. Dr. Chilufya says key among his achievements as Minister of Health was the construction of secondary hospitals like the Levi Mwanawasa to support the University Teaching Hospital, UTH.
So it is important to note that we invested in a robust public health system, public health security system. We reformed the supply chain. We ensured that there was adequate research in the country. We provided adequate leadership. We are the ones, under my leadership, that set up the National Health Insurance Management Authority, NIMA. And today, it is anchoring health service delivery in the country. So I will extrapolate this transformational agenda onto other health sectors, onto other sectors rather.
The PF presidential hopeful has, however, reminded his party of the need to remain united, stating that he will only lead a party that is disciplined. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it, quite an interesting story there, where the former Minister of Health, Dr. Chilufya, is feeling vindicated. This is in a case pertaining to honeybee and the supply of substandard medicines. And it was quite a topical issue in the country. And in studio, I've been joined by Madam Kalibula to help me discuss this issue. Madam, looking good.
It's very interesting that he's telling me I'm being joined. It's like I'm a guest.
Yes, I was asked, where's the lady? You know, there are people who always tune in to see the lady. And I was being queried.
All right, we are here, and this is the breakfast show. In case you are just joining us, I've just joined the set as well. You're not very late, but you've missed quite a number of segments. But you can still follow up and update yourself. However, we are talking about the court stories that we just ran a few seconds ago. Among them, one of the most topical is the honeybee issue, where it was everywhere, and some people actually wanted to sue the Ministry of Health. Among them is somebody that we have somewhere around our circles, Patrick, because according to her, she was not supposed to be in a certain position while she was taking certain medication, and she ended up being in that situation. So she thought it's because I took honeybee medication, you know, without proof anyway, but she assumed when that story was in the public domain. However, you two are viewers, we want to hear your say on some of the stories that we're in. Another story, Patrick, is the story involving former President Edgar Lungu's associate, Queen Sichamba. You know the guy, Patrick.
Exactly.
The guy.
Yeah, that story has been running here, and Miriam has been following it keenly. In terms of giving us updates. So this is the area that actually applied to say the states, the prosecutors that have been put on the case are not eligible to prosecute him because they're coming from the Anti-Corruption Commission. However, the state argued its case, and the matter was dismissed by the judge to say the issue of being prosecuted by ACC lawyers and everything is neither here nor there. They also just try to say these people are appointed by the Attorney General. These people are part of the proceedings. So that issue was dismissed by the court. So those prosecutors are coming from the ACC, have to be part of the case, the team that will be prosecuting the case. Yeah. So we are going to continue to follow it up. You know what I've also come to learn, Sharon, is that it's not necessarily that the court system is slow, but also lawyers make it worse. Because they bringing these issues to drag the matter. Yeah, there's a few issues here and there. You see, the
judgments, the judge is sitting from another court, is not available this week.
All those things to put pressure on that. Because for me, I think under normal circumstances, if you know the proceedings, I think it's better you start the case. You follow it up to 16 hours. You start it from 8 to 16 hours. You deal with all the nitty-gritties.
I think public service
arguments and counter-arguments should be put there.
They take their time. You know, even on something that is not supposed to take the whole day, they would actually take the whole day. Something that has to take a day, it would slip into 2 days, 3 days, because of the nature of how they do things. I'm not sure if it's the bureaucratic processes that take long. This person has to sign, this person has to do this. I'm not sure about that. But the process itself is really slow and really, really, really irritating for a person like me. Yeah. I'm hoping that I don't find myself behind that dog.
I had a conversation with the Chief Justice. I did interview him about what they're doing to expedite the process. He did assure the nation that the judiciary is undergoing reforms, and among the reforms is to ensure that they digitalize the service provision. In that, for instance, you may not need to just to be at the court premises to file your case. You just have to do it electronically. So these issues will be done electronically and make it easier.
So justice people.
Yeah, but you know, with advancements in technology and data services, we need to go that route because we see other countries at this. You can imagine everything is paper. You know, because my concern was also emanating to the aspect of us making sure that we are allowed to film the court sessions. You can imagine, you know, the camera operates, the eyes operate as a camera, you know. So whatever I'm seeing there, that's what the camera will see. Yeah. You understand? So why are you stopping? You get a sense. So if we put a camera there, it's easier for people to follow these cases. You understand? And it may also help in terms of us enhancing understanding of the judicial process and understanding how the courts operates, understanding the laws of the country, because people be following keenly. I'm happy with the progress that Parliament has made in terms of making sure that it is closer to the people. They have Parliament radio, they have Parliament TV now. So people were in the comfort of their seats are able to see whether their member of Parliament is
saying something or no,
or it's just a seat feeder.
Oh, it's just a seat feeder. So we've got a lot of seat fillers.
Yeah, so you see that you find your MP since the opening of the session up to
until the close of the session. No question. Anything. Has never even tried to say
they're just quiet. They just wait for the time.
But
to have tea.
How are they campaigning though? What happens really, Patrick? Let's delve a little more into this. What makes people be very quiet when they go to Parliament, but during campaigns they will probably campaigning? Is it the language barrier? Is it what really happens? Honestly, I know you're not a member of Parliament, but you may have spoken to some and understood at least what happens when you go into that house. For me,
as a communication expert, what I would say is that most of them lack self-esteem and confidence. So you know, you can only ask a question when you have confidence. That's one.
No, but then those questions are accumulated.
And sometimes, you know what the issue is? Others even have phobia to just stand in front of people.
Your fellow MPs?
Yes, yeah. There's that.
Okay, why should I be ashamed? Why should it be?
The other aspect is also language barrier. You understand? You were speaking a lot of Bemba during the campaigns. Yeah, muka tu vote, muka tu shine.
Like
when you go in the
house,
you have to always speak English. Now, speaking English, we have seen how other MPs have fumbled and how they have made they have been trending for wrong reasons.
Their tongues have been cut. You know, they've bitten themselves trying to speak.
Yes, we have some of those members of parliament. You understand? So that barrier, and the others like exposure. They like public speaking skills. You know, speaking in public is not as easy because you can go cold feet, you can shiver around. You know,
you can collapse.
You know, and you know, there's a video of a head of state. You know, I don't know, it's nervousness because we are in front of people.
Was peeing.
Yeah, you know, all those things, Sharon, they brought down our self-esteem, self-confidence. You know, if you don't have the guts, you won't be able to tell a bus coming from Lusaka, going to Chingola from Lusaka, that hey, can you stop? I want to help myself there. You see, you just be quiet waiting. Can't my neighbor say something? Oh, is there anyone? Not anyone in this bus. You understand? Those things happen.
Are you saying this is why Elijah never wants to be in front of the camera?
Those are some of the things. So let's also look at one of the interesting stories where we have the UPND justifying the suspension of some members, and they're saying that people should not be taking things to the press. When they are suspended, they should be adhering to the party rules and regulations. So now we listen to that story, and also a story coming from the National Democratic Congress, NDC, pertaining to how they are claiming the legitimacy, as well as feel that the UPND administration is on course towards steering national development.
Yes, let's look at those stories, and later on the show we're expecting the faction leader for the NDC, who is part of the UPND alliance, not Savoy Mbwe, the other one, and that's why I'm saying faction. We're expecting him to be on set here with us to discuss a number of issues regarding the alliance as well as what's happening in the country. Let's look at those two stories, and thereafter hopefully he will be here on set with us.
In the recent weeks, the governing United Party for National Development has been criticized for allegedly abandoning its alliance partners and diverting from its campaign pledges, bordering on reducing the high cost of living as commodity prices continue to escalate amid stagnant wages for workers. Tuesday, the opposition National Democratic Congress, during its press conference, started by claiming legitimacy of the party over the Savoy Mbwe camp and affirmed the party's association with the UPND alliance. And the party president, George Sichula, has called on Zambians to remain optimistic, claiming that President Hakainde Hichilema is committed to resolve the problems affecting citizens. He believes the UPND has done a lot of positive things, such as the restoration of the rule of law, the free education policy, and the introduction of new allowances to students, further stating that the rest of the challenges will equally be addressed.
Zambians must never look back. It is time to focus. It is time to move forward. Going back to PF is like taking poison, like we heard a few months ago. Going back to the PF is like taking poison. It is so surprising that the PF are acting so intelligent over economic matters of this country, even when they had their time to govern for 10 solid years. Indeed, Bemba said, amano ya lubuli yesanga bakuma. Tetibese bakwata amano ya kutungulula ekyalo dida bapumuma elections. Pate nga yafuma mu kuteko awo ni shichapo bashika. And those that are thinking that PF can be rebranded and PF can come back, I feel sorry for you.
The opposition leader is impressed that President Hichilema wants to revive the mining sector in the country by recapitalizing Mopani mine and resolving Konkola copper mine KCM issue with Vedanta.
He further revealed that money has been found to recapitalize Mopani, and that discussions with Vedanta regarding Konkola copper mines are near completions and business will return soon. This is what the people on the Copper Belt and Zambia at large have been waiting to hear. We can only clap for this government and urge them to continue being servants of the people. This news has left the unions and suppliers smiling ear to ear.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Maybe for the UPND, twamangulako too much manati. Everyone aleka kuchita respect our manifesto and our constitution of the party UPND. We can say everything at any time, at any minute, at any second. No, we don't want this lawlessness in our party. We are the party in government. So please, I'm urging the top to take action. This is internal. We don't know you, but we are going to find you. Definitely we are going to find you. We don't know you, but we are going to find you. And when we find you wanted, definitely the party will take its course on these issues. Because these are matters internal. We know for someone to come out like that, you are being paid. Even if you are not paid, you don't mean it, you are not a UPND member. Because a UPND member, as I because at the right time and the right minute. So ish yamene musabaila chabe kama kali open, you are Mr. Right, you are Miss Right. Kukamba anything, anyhow. The party is bigger than one individual. You can either be suspension, you can either be expelled from the party. Let me reduce this step. In UPND, there were about 3 vice presidents of the party UPND. All of them 3, they went. And you and me, we remained. So at each Chikalipa Chumfomuni, if you are feeling this Chikalipa, find the right time and the right place.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Camnet Breakfast. Like I mentioned before we took those 2 stories, we are joined on set by the NDC President, George Sichula, who is part of the UPND Alliance. And in this conversation, we surely hope that you will join us and as we deliberate on matters of national importance. Mr. Sichula, good morning and welcome to this interview.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Great.
Interesting. To just start our conversation, Mr. Sichula, bring us up to speed with the UPND Alliance. Is the UPND Alliance alive and are you still part of it?
Okay, I've noticed that this question keeps coming.
And you have to keep answering it. You have to keep...
Yeah. Not a problem. Though I could have loved the spokesperson for the Alliance to be facing such questions. Yeah, but however, from the side of NDC, I'll be able to say something. We are still in the Alliance. It is still intact. We are still supporting. As you can hear from our statements, we do support. Let me take you back a bit. You see, me as a young politician, I want to see how this thing is going to work, where we are going. Before we entered into this alliance, I think we had a lot of talks from people. One of the people who talked about it was, by then, my President Tshimba Kamwidi, who came to us and told us this thing is not going to work. This thing will frustrate all of you. You are going to be used and dumped. That was Tshimba Kamwidi by then. And I remember I was provincial chairman on the Copper Belt with so much influence. Both the opposition and also the party in government was interested in me because I had carried so much influence on the structures. So the opposition disagreed with us to say this alliance cannot work, it will never work, this never works. But we were convinced that it has worked in South Africa, it has worked in Malawi, it can also work. So we decided to join hands on the Copper Belt. I remember meeting Mr. Akafumba, who encouraged me to say, we just have to go for it. Let's give it a try. There is always a first time. So we joined forces and it worked. We formed government. And here we are in government. And as a young politician, I want to see how this thing is going to end.
Is it working
so far? But I want to tell you that it's not everyone, even within the circles, who is for the idea that this thing must continue. And of course we know them, okay? Some people fear for positions, and it is very normal. But for some of us, we want to promote unity and continuity, and we want to prove a point to those critics, those who said this thing is not going to work. You know, alliances come with conditions, and once you stick to those agreements and conditions, it works. But where you maybe abandon certain conditions and agreements, it becomes a problem. So for me and my team in the NDC, we want to stick to it, and we do not want to give a reason to those people who told us to say it cannot work, because we'll give them authority at the end of the day to start talking, to say, now we told you. I do not want to come to me and say, young man, I told you not to follow this thing. So my advice is to our leaders, starting from the chairman for the alliance, the president himself, President Hakainde Hichilema. Like, for instance, I will tell you that President Hakainde Hichilema is for the alliance. He keeps telling us, you need to strengthen your political parties, strengthen the structures. He keeps encouraging us. He doesn't want it to be destroyed because he wants to unite all of us so that we work together as a team. But again, there are people, okay, that would want to fight it to make sure that it doesn't work. I think they fear for some positions of some sort. Yeah, but we need to promote unity. We need to make sure we work with everybody. A few days ago, I think I received a phone call from you guys where you wanted me to comment on the statement by Honorable Wenam Senge, where he said, you alliance partners have been left on the court, left on the street.
Yeah.
You are damped and frustrated. As a result, all of you have gone quiet because you are not speaking for the people. And secondly, you know, there are quite a lot of things happening, and we expect from your side to give advice to government, because that's why you are there. Okay, talk about the escalating price of meal, issues of fuel, economic issues. How much advice are you giving to the government? What are you doing as alliance partners? I wish to confirm that advice we give. And if I give you an advice, it's up to you to take it, use it, or shelf it. We do our part. All we do not want is to be speaking in public, exposing our own weaknesses. Like, I want to tell you that, yes, the government may not be perfect. Yeah, flaws and shocks may be there. So it is not up to us every time to go into public and expose our own government, because the UPND Alliance government is our baby. It's our government. So it is foolish of me to come on the media and begin to expose my own government when there are issues. That's why the president creates opportunities for us to sit. We sit, we talk where necessary.
Well, yeah. let's pick this.
It is intact, and we don't wish to let it fall.
Okay, just hold your thought. We'll pick it up from there. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Daniel. How?
Fine, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
In the
okay.
Go ahead with your contribution. Sorry? Your line is not very good. We'll have to cut you. It's not clear. apologies for that. We had to cut you because the line is not very clear. You can still call us and have a conversation with us. We are here at least for the next 30 minutes. So keep trying and stand where it's okay. We understand that some areas have very bad reception in terms of network.
Yeah,
but then Mr. Stula was saying something. I'm not sure if you concluded your thought.
He did conclude.
So before we actually even move on, one thing that came out from your preamble is that you're going to stick to this alliance regardless.
Yes.
Are you just staying because you don't want somebody to win over what they said? Because it came out so strong, like you're going to stick around because you don't want to prove to the people that said this alliance is not going to work. Are you happy this far? Obviously, there are shocks you've mentioned, but are you happy this far of how things are being done in the alliance? And are you sticking around in order for you not to prove a point to somebody, even if you're struggling inside there, you know, because that's how it sounds.
Because just to back up your statement, we have people like Nason Musoni, who is All People's Congress Party president.
He speaks out.
He has been telling us, giving us statements pertaining to say they feel abandoned on his part. He feels abandoned and he feels the UPND has taken a selfish approach and abandoned alliance partners. Exactly. So now, you are going to, as NDCU, stick around regardless of the turbulences.
Yes, I want to say we are going to stick around. We have no problems.
Being sidelined? You have no problem with that?
Who says we have been sidelined?
So it's just an impression?
President Inson who said that.
Correct the impression. Correct the impression.
NDC is working very well with the UPND. We are not sidelined.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I do not have a reason with my party to leave the alliance. Yeah, so we are still, we have nothing to complain about.
Okay.
Oh, it's well.
Interesting. Now, our topic of discussion is quite interesting. We are justifying some of the what we term as misfiring in terms of social and economic issues under the UPND administration. Here, Mr. Sichula, we have received a feedback from our dear viewers that they feel the cost of living is beyond their reach. We have also heard that in the news. Okay, let's pick this call before we proceed with that question.
Hello, good morning. All right.
Mr. Mshitu, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much.
We heard the message. we heard the message.
Yeah, but the line was pretty bad. Make sure Mr. Mshitu find a right position, or probably you can refuel your talk time so that we can have a conversation at the end of the day. Now, Mr. Stroda, I was asking a question pertaining to the cost of living. Many Zambians feel the UPND is acting contrary to its promises, and that they feel betrayed because the cost of living has not been addressed, and that's one of the major issues. That was a major campaign issue. We saw you as alliance members and together with the UPND moving with a pot and
sachets of cooking oil and sugar,
which are now being called barleys. Okay, let's pick this call.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Bueno, mulatu mina kwisa mkwai. All right, Pastor Katongo.
Kutumwa konkanya.
Ndifo bwino balishani mkwai.
bali abantu baadya ye ensala abantu akolesa ni emergency Nisembeto tukabongerako after 2 years, after 3 years, after to get ensala nakofena namera. Na kuti kuliwe mindset isikwete chakuli awo nkamona nkamomberako imulungu. Awo mwanzo abalesa twapapa. Kesho china kuma hospitals. Yena bebe ni mumuga belanga n'obuteko. Ifufu balelanga n'abantu for mabasters. Tumwamfluensa ni mwamfluensa. Please to a papa, none papa. What can you say? What can you say more than to him? The moment is the moment I have state out, Rampera Peninsula, Rampera Peninsula, the moment you want to know. This way, Musway the pine sheet from another everybody children. Imagine it's a writer. The Christ and Tukula Akana. Akasaka Kamula Kaneda. What was a place in Salana? We become a politics in Salamoli. In Salana, we become a politics. No one is in Momola, State House.
All right, thank you so much,
Pastor Katongo.
I'm not sure if at all you go to State House every day to eat, though.
Yeah.
But you can speak to that.
Yeah, so we wait. That carries with our question that we were asking.
Yeah, about the cost of living.
It's very funny that there are some people, even within my party, whenever they see me go to State House or attend national events, they think I go there to get money.
Something.
Akasaka kandarama. To come and give people. But there are no such things. We are not given any money. I will tell you that we don't even receive any funds from anyone. Not even government, not even any sponsors. So we just sponsor on we just support.
Pro bono.
Pro bono. You understand? Ngefe baranda ba pastor. Nsarayena church na bantu tibayumfu. And I feel for those people that are going through that. But let me take you back a bit where the confusion started from. Okay? Sorry to say that us Zambians by nature, you know that we are not very hardworking and most of us are lazy. Okay? From the previous governments, people got so much used to handouts. Okay? People got so much used to that. We are not so much hardworking. I think we are different from the people in the Congo there. Sharon, have you been to Congo border? Is it to Kasumbalesa?
I don't even want to go there. I've heard so much.
Yes.
I've heard so much.
When you go there, you find that the women that are in Congo are totally different from you. They will look so scruffy by the border, carrying things on their head to go and sell their merchandises. They look so scruffy. Those people are very beautiful women. They look more beautiful on Sunday. During the week, they are working. When you find ladies who are looking nice by the border there, just know they are Zambians.
Of course.
Okay? So what am I talking about?
Wonderfully and fearfully made.
Yes. What am I talking about? In Zambia, we are so much into wanting to receive handouts, which happened under PF, under UPN, under MMD, but it is not happening under this regime. You know, I want you to understand that the kind of a president we have wants people to be working. Okay, it's on record, the president asking the young people to say, I want you to come up with cooperatives. I am going to give you CDF from 1.6 million to 28. Go and start working. Today, as we speak, Sharon, I will tell you there are a lot of projects that are happening in these constituencies from the 28 million kwacha, which even you, the journalists, are not helping the government to capture those activities coming out of the 28 million kwacha. Ama desk abalepanga bama constituents abana bama school bale isura ma classes abalebira bashani nibalabe naba mu constituents abakwedama machines. They are the ones who are doing those activities. When we formed the government, the president said, I do not want cadres on the streets. I do not want cadres on the markets. Go and start working, all of you.
But cadres are back in markets and bus stations, Mr. Sichura.
Yeah. They may not finish, okay? It may take some time. But the truth of the matter is the president has given a position to say, I do not want such things to be happening. But the president has been on record. He has said, I do not want cadaism on the street. Okay? And he's sticking to that. You can see from the statements where he's not tolerating that. All he wants is not to give you fish. He wants to give you nets. He's on record telling all of us to say, when investors come, partner with the Zambians. So that at the end of the day, you work together. But all he's promoting is working, not getting handouts. And that's why countrywide everyone now is complaining. Even within UPND, go to UPND, they are crying foul because they expect the president also to be giving them handouts, which he's not doing.
But others have argued.
Patrick, I want to correct Mr. Stula's impression. I've heard this statement from a lot of people, a lot of sources in the UPND. We are not going to be covering your projects all the time in our news and everywhere. We are not a public broadcaster. We are not a government spokesperson or spokes entity. We will cover as and when we can, but we will not make it our mandate to highlight all government progress.
And there's also the aspect of willingness.
Exactly.
Have you taken into consideration the aspect of willingness to highlight these issues? There are some members of parliament who have engaged even the stations to say, let's see how these women are doing the poultry projects.
Exactly.
So it also stems from there. Let's pick this call before we proceed with our conversation. You are through to the breakfast show. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, I'm calling you from within Saka.
All right. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I'm calling you from within Saka.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We can hear you.
I just want to say something concerning the cost of living at the moment.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to tell Mr. Chula, the president.
Yes.
The Alliance Party of UPND. By the way, I'm a man who wants to project that what I do for UPND. Now my solution is this. The current situation at the moment is not very well. To ask the poor owners that we are telling to buy a bag of minimum, which is costing us a very outside. Then you are sure that if you get a little bit, even if you they need to indicate, they need to indicate, I'm just saying supervisor. Things are not okay when the ground is of children. Do not be cheated. Let's say you can school in a way. Because you are the children and the Morasimana para Paribo Pambi, but the next person, Marco Sukata, in peace. At one point in time, he had to say that, the most educated people are the most foolish ones. So the end at which educated people think differ from us before. I don't know if it's like this. Things are not okay. If elections were to be held to them, automatically, Europeans and these around partners could be kicked out of those offices. So I don't know how you see things. Tell the president, if the president is a Japo Kawana, if you are listening to this conversation, please, if you stop listening to Kawana. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. From your mouth to their ears.
If an election is called today, the UPND and its alliance partners will be
out of the office.
Now, your perspective, Mr. Sicho.
But we don't have an opposition that can take over government now.
This is the same confidence the previous administration had. And there was UPND that came in.
They said there was no opposition.
There was no opposition in
but
Zambia.
UPND shocked them.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. I am not disagreeing with the people that are saying that the cost of living has become high and things are difficult for our people. We are not disagreeing with them. I think we have seen that. In public, I talk about such, and we look forward as NDC to make sure that government puts up measures that will cushion the impact, okay? Because people cannot continue crying foul every time. And the beauty is that we have a president who is a listening president. And of course we know the cost of fuel has gone up, and there is no money in circulation, okay? The bag of mealie meal is there.
Fetching quite high.
The price, yeah.
So, 200.
I don't think at this point it will be a bad thing to even begin to think of subsidizing some of these things, okay, to make it much easier for the people. You understand? Past governments have done it before, where you subsidize the bag of mealie meal, okay, so that it comes to a level where people can afford, okay. Then from there, cost of fuel, because initially the government thought of removing the subsidy on fuel, okay, because they thought only industries were benefiting. It's not everyone in Zambia who had a vehicle, okay. Yeah, so the best maybe could be that we subsidize mealie meal, okay, we subsidize also fuel, yeah, to make sure that people begin to afford.
Quite a perspective you are bringing out, Mr. Sichula. There's another interesting aspect of where we are seeing ZESCO also trying to migrate to cost-effective tariffs for electricity. Now, others have argued in the same seat you are sitting, Mr. Sichula, that you cannot leave everything to the private sector. Like you let the private sector also bring their dominance in the energy sector. Now, if they want to sabotage the government, what happens? In the case of mealie meal, only ZNS mealie meal is fetching at 150. The rest is still fetching at 200 kwacha, despite FRI offloading maize. Now, if you also give out the electricity sector to the private sector, what happens now? Because the private sector has a lot of money and they can surpass generation capacity, ZESCO's generation capacity, and take over the market. If the tariff is effective and you give out the energy sector to the private sector, is that are you also supporting such a move as the alliance? Are you supporting that we should go to cost-effective tariffs for electricity, given that already most Zambians are still not affording with their barber shop, their salons, to pay the current electricity tariffs? It's getting into their profits.
You see, there has been a lot of politics there. Actually, for me, from my own view, I think we needed to allow competition with regards to issues of electricity. Not long ago, I learned something in the UK, which I want to disclose here. The population of UK, some districts there, some countries, or even when you go to America, you find that load shedding is not there, okay, and the tariffs are quite on a lower side, affordable side by the people. Now the question that comes in is, how do they manage to bring the tariffs down? Okay, like in the UK, instead of depending so much on the hydropower, they have also promoted solar panels. How have they done it? Each house, they have put solar panels on their roofs. How did they do it? The government had to negotiate on behalf of the people, okay, with these companies that make solar panels to put on top of the roof of each house to be generating power. You as a family, you generate power there. Every month, part of the units you sell to the electricity company, they pay you, okay? Part of the money you pay, maybe in a space of 15 to 20 years, you pay to the company that supplied you with the solar panel without paying anything. So when you look at that, it is benefiting, number one, this family. Even if they do not have a job, they will be able to survive from the power which they are generating. Okay? The government did it. Here in Zambia, we depend on ZESCO to produce power. And ZESCO uses the hydro power stations. And each time water depletes, we start having problems of load shedding. So I think we need to think outside the box as a nation instead of just looking at the ZESCO. That's why they monopolize the business. That's why they come up with abnormal tariffs. We cannot, say anything.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
so
pick this call and we continue. Just hold your thought, don't forget. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Good morning.
Okay, we lost that. Good for you, Mr. Stula. Go ahead with your thought.
So now imagine if that was introduced in Zambia, where we say each house, solar panel there, so that the power which we produce from Kariba Dam and other places in Teji, we give it to the industries so that we promote industrialization as a nation. Okay? Then we leave power in residential houses to those who are generating using solar panels. There will be no load shedding.
I'm hoping this suggestion has been given during the Council of Presidents seating, because it's brilliant, but I'm just hoping really that it has been presented so that you can start thinking in those lines.
Sharon, that's why we needed the young people also to start taking up the leadership of this country.
We are here.
Because
2026, watch the space. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Fine, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and kindly speak up a little.
Yes, this is Mr. Banda from Camnet.
Yes,
Mr. Banda, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I also want to say photo.
Yes.
Yes.
The question is that very expensive, very expensive. The other thing is no one really having the budget. That is considered China, now we are looking into the life for this one. So basically, this is what I've been doing to say something to come back. Can we mention one answer make your son down since they get inside? Because what we need, what we are doing.
Thank you.
Okay.
So things are not okay. The things are not okay.
Okay, the second thing that you needed to say? You said you had two things.
Sorry?
You said you had two things. What is the second thing you needed to say?
Yes, I'm saying things are not okay.
One.
Yes, this people have been something as to say they will never reduce everything at their own price.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Stula,
the story of high cost of living keeps recurring.
At one thing that has come down since the UPND administration came into office. Are you able to mention that one thing?
Something that has
come down, because they're saying everything is going up in terms of commodities.
You see, in terms of fixing the economy, it's not something that you can work on overnight. Okay? There are economic dynamics that should be put into play. Okay, so like for instance, you see, to have a good economy, it should begin from somewhere. You need to fight corruption, number one. Number two, you need to open up an economy through maybe infrastructure, open up roads for people to invest. No investor comes in this country when you have bad roads. In the rural setup, open up so that activities begin to flow. Okay, so if you talk about reducing the cost of living, it's not a one-day thing. There are a lot of things that you need to package in that. Yeah, so I think it's too early for us to say the UPND has failed, because they've only been in government for 1 year, 8 months, and with the rot which we found in government, okay, it's not easy But I can assure you that from what I've seen so far, there is future. There is light at the end of the tunnel. But for instance, this government is really trying by all means to make it easier for the people. Okay? Even if we are complaining about the high cost of living, already we have the free education where we used to spend money. Okay, from grade 1 up to grade 12. Free education.
You increase in order to...
Before he said, secondly, we have the issue of scholarships that we are giving. Okay? And that's why I want to agree with where you disagreed with me, to say it is not your duty as a private sector to go down and follow up on what government is doing. It's for the government to do that. Okay? I hope they have heard for themselves. And also UPND government should strengthen their media crew so that at the end of the day, they pick what is happening on the ground. We have scholarships that are being given to young people across the country. Okay? We have bursaries that are being given from the CDF. A lot has happened, but it has not even been captured. It is all in a quest to, lighten the burden of the parents. Not long ago at CPU, you saw what happened when the president went there. Okay? The students jubilated. That was not fake. They were very happy because all of us really wanted the government to do that. So it is all in a quest to try and see if we can question on the problems of the people. All that we are not appreciating, I think, and that's where I'm finding it difficult when people say BAD is not working or the government is doing nothing to help imikalire y'abantu. Chirempa pushara. Okay? Free education at our tapalifemulaged. CDF was 1.6 to 28. Go make sure you accommodate
which people couldn't access in 2022 especially.
Sorry?
Which people couldn't access because
most
the money was
people
up to today, some members of parliament are complaining the same money has been sitting in the coffers of the council because they failed to give it to the people, owing to the fact that the guidelines were not very clearly stipulated for people to understand and access these resources. We hope that 2023 it's a different ballgame, but then I don't think that is something that you can actually be excited about to say, no, we did this. Of course, the money was there, but it was not dispersed to the people for them to do those various projects.
We have councillors complaining, especially one of them from Kawata constituency.
Exactly.
The money is still sitting in the council and we haven't implemented a single project.
So the 2022 financial year has moved to 2023. All this money for the council, for what? In the first place, because
others have argued that there's no money. In fact, it's just figures there
on paper, but the coffers are empty.
I agree with you because yes, even for me, at one time I think I complained about it, where I said there's too much bureaucracy when it comes to CDF. Let's deal with this span of control which is there, the bureaucracy. Okay. It's not a problem of government or the problem of the president. The president has authorized. But our officers, okay, in the process of managing that, we begin to see those problems at the end of the day. Yeah, so this, I think, should be taken as a lesson by councils so that at the end of the day, they speed up the process, okay, so that projects begin to come out, people benefit. Because that money is meant for the people on the ground, the community. The president wants to see the suppliers getting jobs at council level. He wants to see those cooperatives begin to benefit from those. Okay. So if you make it stiff for the people to have access, then you are jump-starting a battle with the president on top there. And we shall be quick, some of us, to say these councils are frustrating the efforts of the president. That's how we work as politicians. Otherwise, the big man on top means well. He says, let the people have access there to money. Then from there, Malawi come from a procedure, from a shiny paperwork and all that. And also I'll tell you, I hope our friends are listening.
Which friends of us? The opposition?
Our friends in government are listening.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
What we are saying is For our people to benefit from the ground there in terms of money, okay, I'll tell you that most of our people are not even as educated as you may think. In the peri-urbans of Zambia, if you ask them to come up with a cooperative, some of them don't even know how to write their names. Okay. So a cooperative and all those procedures, at times it's a challenge.
A traditional leader once argued, Chief Wunda, that how can my members draft a constitution for a cooperative?
Okay.
They have no knowledge.
They have no knowledge. How do you expect them to write a constitution of a cooperative? So, like you were explaining now,
yeah,
these are concerns the traditional leader lays to say, why is these council officers coming on the ground or do a template of everything so that people can just fill in the gaps,
the details
there, make it simpler.
Yeah, in the peri-urbans, if a chief makes such a suggestion, why can't we go for it? We need to make it simple for people to have access to money. I wouldn't agree with the chief. I think he's right. Okay? Again, we cannot give people money without understanding how they intend to use
the money.
You see? Like in some instances, I've seen situations where young people want a loan, and of course a loan cannot just be given to you from CEPC or Ministry of Youth and Sports or under a small and medium ministry. If you want a loan, obviously we must be able to explain how you intend to use that loan and pay back. Okay, so we cannot have a situation where you just give young people money to go and expend. No, I think you'll be wasting or putting money in a bottomless pit. So what we are saying is, I hope political parties are listening, non-government organizations are listening. If we mean to help the people, let's go down and help them how to draft those constitutions if they are part of conditions for them to have access to money.
Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
Hello, sir.
Hello, good morning. Your name?
Yeah, I just want to contribute one question.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from. All right, Mr. Justin, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mwale, go ahead. Go ahead with your contribution. Right.
Okay.
Finally, lost that, but I'm sure we picked the thought.
Yeah, we did pick the perspective there. And Mr. Stroda, as you proceed, I want to also get your perspective on this aspect of the implementation of the Farmers Input Support Program for the year 2022-2023. Many stakeholders have been of the view that it has been chaotic, and that others have predicted that Zambia may be affected by hunger, and especially that we have also seen that floods have also affected some maize fields. And I just want to get your perspective on how you think this FISIP program has been implemented, and what would be your recommendation going forward for the 2023-2024 farming season?
Yeah, to start with, I want to say that it's quite unfortunate that there was a delay in the distribution of farming inputs. And of course, even from our side, we anticipate that we are likely to have a problem where we are going. But the beauty is that the government is fully aware that we need to be alert. Whatever comes, we should be able to face it head on. Talking about the issues of FISIP, it's been a challenge actually. It's been a challenge, and I want to agree that this is a new government, and there are few things they needed to do right, especially with regards to the people that we give urgency when it comes to distribution of farming inputs, number one, and also buying on behalf of government. We saw a lot of funny things which affected, I think, the whole thing. And I'm made to believe that from what we saw, I think we have learned one or two things. And come next year, we may not be able to experience a lot. It will be unwell for me to start disclosing what I saw, but the truth of the matter is those things you saw, we saw them as well. And the government has already started working on those to make sure that they don't repeat
What are your
themselves.
suggestions going forward in how we're going to handle this situation 2023 to 2024 farming season?
Like he said, that already people, in some parts of the country, people have experienced flood. And obviously it's up to government to get ready through DMMU to make sure that people are covered. Government has to do that. Because again, the delays of farming inputs and all those funny things that happened, government could have foreseen that. Yeah, so with whatever comes, the government should be there to make sure that we cushion the impact of our people everywhere.
You come from the Copper Belt.
Yeah.
And Sharon, you've been talking about this issue for KCM. Maybe you have a right question for Mr.
It's the same thought, really. It's the same thought, because yesterday when he held a press briefing, he touched on how the people of Copper Belt are struggling to make ends meet due to issues involving the KCM and redundant not being fully operational there. Maybe we would like to get your perspective on that on TV this time around, as you speak to people that are supposed to make the decision, because it's long overdue.
Others feel the Copper Belt is in ICU at the moment.
We're not sure how much people can be patient about Copper Belt to Queen Mfuma. Obviously, you hold it in high esteem. It's part of you.
It's part of me.
Yes.
They say the strength of a fish is in the water. So I am from Copper Belt. That's what we say. Like I said yesterday, I am a former district commissioner of Chingona and a former councillor in the town where KCM is.
So you're not new to this political thing, eh? You've appeared on the ballots.
Yes.
You've campaigned vigorously.
Yes.
You've been loved by the people.
A lot.
They've voted for you. You've spoken for government.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So, talking about KCM and Mopani, it's key to people's stay on the Copper Belt. Let me explain to you how we are on the Copper Belt. When KCM and Mopani goes down, people also go down. Okay, in terms of jobs. Okay, because once KCM is fully operational, they connect to contractors and suppliers, thereby creating jobs for our local people. So what creates joblessness on the copper belt is when KCM falls down. Okay, meaning that all these suppliers and contractors lose. Okay, same applies to Mopani. Yeah, so from the time I think we had this problem of KCM on the copper belt, a lot of people have been affected. Families, contractors, suppliers, and imagine that even the corporate social responsibility part went down on the copper belt. I think that's what made people even to start crying foul. Yeah, wait until Mopani is recapitalized and also KCM, Vedanta goes back. I do not have a problem with Vedanta going back because my stance has been that we need to take them out of court, we discuss with them.
Which is what has happened?
Which has happened, and this is what I very much wanted. Because, Sharon, the truth of the matter is that KCM we sold as government, we sold to Vedanta, and they paid in full. Okay? The matter in court was favoring Vedanta, in case the Zambian people didn't know. So there is no way we could have just dragged on or finding another investor who would want to invest in a company which is marred with legal issues. Who would want to do that? Can you buy a house where there are family problems, they are fighting for the house, then you go to buy? No, they will challenge you in the court. They will file in an injunction, you won't even shift into it. So to avoid all these problems surrounding KCM, we were with a view that why can't we just bring them back? I remember having a meeting with the pastors when they were provoked in Chingola. There was a very, very heated up discussion in Chingola regarding KCM.
Yeah.
Pastors were saying, we don't want Vedanta to come here. We cast him to hell. Okay, so my view was that, you see, at one time President Sata told the Zambian people that he didn't like the Chinese. But when he formed government, he called and had a banquet at State House with the Chinese. You journalists went to him and asked him, what are you doing with these Chinese you said you don't like? He said the Chinese of Rupiah Band are different from my Chinese. So I told my pastors also on the Copper Belt to say, the Vedanta that worked with PF may be a different Vedanta that will work with the UPND government. So let's give chance to UPND government to make a decision over KCM. They know what is better. They know what is best for the Zambian people. The contractors, suppliers, the workers in KCM, all of us, let's come up with a win-win situation. Why not sit with them? The government has a duty to supervise KCM 24/7, to make sure that they are paying taxes, to make sure that suppliers and contractors are happy. Again, Sharon, what hungered the suppliers and contractors on the Copper Belt was the fact that jobs, contracts were being given to foreigners at the expense of the locals. So now, Vedanta is saying, let's be giving jobs to the locals. Let's increase now salaries for the workers. Let's now strengthen the corporate social responsibility so that everyone wins. Okay. There used to be under declarations in terms of taxes. You don't even know, some of you, what frustrated Vedanta. This habit of getting money from these private institutions to go and throw in the campaigns is what frustrated Vedanta. Are you aware that at one time they used to get money from KCM through State House to go and use that money to campaign? And that frustrated Vedanta to say, no, we are actually paying taxes. We are honoring the corporate social responsibility. We are doing everything that we can. But why are they coming back privately to get this money? As a result, they stopped honoring the corporate social responsibility. They started delaying payments for the workers, the suppliers and contractors, and they abandoned the responsibilities of even doing township roads, putting money in Changa Rangers, rackets, clubs, all that. That's what frustrated them. But people didn't know what was happening.
New revelations there. Hello, good morning.
I'm following your program, but the thing that I was just suggesting is that we are behind of why isn't the government even helping the people to give them the fair wages? Because the thing in this time, they are very expensive that you for some children doing at school and like in yoga, then you are getting 1,000. Then it cannot start anything for the family. So we want the government to help us to start looking so that those who think the security in campus they can receive the money that they can use to start. So they can, my point is that they can help us to start looking. So at least they can help us to do that.
Interesting. Your name and where you're calling us from before you go.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Robert City.
Okay, you are Mr.
Joseph Banda.
Thank you for your submission, sir.
So Joseph Banda there. Thank you so much. We heard you.
You were suggesting that people are getting low wages. So no wonder the complaints are high, especially when it comes to high commodity prices. Why doesn't the government also deprecate in terms of wages? People in the private sector, I think so. Your perspective, Mr. Stewart?
Who wouldn't want a good salary? All of us would want to have a good salary at the end of the day.
Good money.
Good money.
Mm.
You know, small money causes, I usually say small money causes headache.
Yes.
Imagine you go to ShopRite.
Yes.
Okay.
You with a phone, you're calculating. You write in the year 22.59 in way. You add, you keep adding so that you don't shoot your small money.
For me, I want when I get into ShopRite, I should just be picking things.
Because you want those things.
Knowing that my pockets are fat. So I totally agree with the man. If we have a high cost of living, as government, we should be able to do something so that when we shouldn't be fearing bills.
We are in the dying minutes, Mr.
You're
Stula.
concluding remarks, yeah.
Give us hope in terms of mitigating the high cost of living. Clearly, most of the callers that have made it to talk to us have complained about the cost of living. We've talked about Copperbelt. The cost of living is really high as well, and it's affecting them even worse, that there's no much economic activity there. In Lusaka, it's worse, and we are expecting even much more hardships, especially for those that depend on agriculture, and their crops have been submerged in water, they've been destroyed, they're back to zero, they'll only depend on government under DMMU. Give us a bit of hope, Mrs. Stula, on how we are going to survive. How long should we wait for the cost of living to be reduced at least to normal standards? I know you've mentioned the issue of subsidizing some of the commodities so that we can manage as a people. But then how long should we wait? How long are we going to push you to remind you that we are struggling, you're choking us as a people?
Measures, I think, needed to be put in place as quick as possible. We don't need to wait until people begin to die. We needed to do it as in yesterday. So for me, my advice has always been that we need to find the quickest way to cushion the problems people are complaining about. Because imagine that from the time we started our program, there is no one that is supporting me and supporting the government of the day. So it's a sign
it speaks volumes
that we need to pay attention to what people are saying. Okay? One man called from Lusaka, another one from Mumbwa. It's like they are speaking the same language. If you go to Copperbelt, they are speaking the same language. The beauty is that our president is a listener, is a listener, and he is social media happy. When people are talking, he listens. What we are discussing here, I can assure you, he will listen.
I hope so.
He may not be able to say anything, but he listens. Yeah, so the best is to ensure that we start working out modalities on how we are going to question this forthcoming impact. In fact, we shouldn't even wait until it happens. Why can't we do it in advance? Since we know what is coming. We know there was a delay in terms of fertilizer. Okay, we know there is this issue of some parts of the country experiencing floods and people's crops have been destroyed. So why can't we prepare in advance? So we just have to prepare in advance to make sure that such things don't happen. All of us have seen. Okay, so let's not wait for a calamity to happen, then we start running about. No, let's do it now. Prevention is better than cure. So my advice is that with the cries of our people, some of the commodities, let's begin to question. We subsidize fuel, we reduce it. Though it is not an easy undertaking, with the huge debt that we found, okay, because subsidies go with money. How much money do you have? Okay, for fuel, it's a huge amount. Okay, for maize, it's our staple food, so it's a huge amount. So we need to choose between paying those debts, because I know the reason why we could not even entertain issues of subsidizing some of these commodities. It's because of the huge debt that we found. Remember when we formed government, the president said, I am inheriting an empty coffer.
Yes.
There was nothing. So what's the point of subsidizing when you have no money? It is foolishness. Yeah, so the best way, it is when you have money. And secondly, where would the money come from? Okay, if we achieved the IMF, and where are the other sources of income for us to do that exercise of subsidizing? So lastly, I want to say that we need to give the UPND government enough time. Of course, we cannot weigh what PF did in 10 years with what has happened 1 year 8. It will be very much unfair. Okay, so from what has happened within the space of 1 year 8, I've got confidence that this government, if we give them the 5 years, they will be able to do wonders. Remember, Sharon, when Moses was told to say, there, okay, in the land which flows with honey and milk, go there with these people. He was not told Moses what he would encounter.
He was just told, go there.
Okay, a lot of things happened. Crossed the Red Sea, they found bitter water, a lot of challenges. Okay, so before that, you have to go through these turbulences. It is very normal. Go to South Africa, go everywhere. Countries face these turbulences. So we just have to stay focused, never look back to the PF. It's poison there.
It's just forward. Now this reminds me of, Patrick, this reminds me of Dante Saunders. I know what that. It reminds me of Dante Saunders when he said, we knew who we were voting for. We were not voting for Jesus to go in.
That's where we call it a day. We would like to thank you, our dear viewers, and most sincerely thanks goes to our guest of the day. That's Mr. George Sichula, who is the NDC president. Until tomorrow, when we come with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show, Governance, Policy and Politics. This has been Patrick Soko and Shalon Kalimbola. Until when we come tomorrow, it's been quite a good program, and we hope you still tune in to continue the conversation from where we have ended.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Asante.